This week on the Analog Circle podcast, Sony will allegedly be revealing the PlayStation 5 in February. Phil Spencer sits down to talk about what the next Xbox will focus on for next generation. We find out how to spot a new Nintendo Switch so you can benefit from the upgrades found in the newer model. We get some alleged Call of Duty news for next year's game, and cross-save is coming to Destiny 2. All of these stories and quite a few more in episode 109. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I truly want to thank every last one of you guys for tuning in to spend a little bit of time with me. So as always, what I want you to do is kick back, relax, put your feet up, get a nice cool beverage, and just relax. Because we're going to have a very good time today. Now, I do want to let you guys know that if you guys want to listen to the podcast, we are out there. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on SoundCloud. You can find it over on Audio Mac, Stitcher, and Google Play. So go over there and check us out. Now, as always, I want to get the show started with my favorite section of the podcast, and that is the feedback section. Now, before we get started with the feedback section, I want to let you guys know out there that are listening, if you want to be a part of this section of the podcast, you can do so two different ways. Either you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. So without further ado, I want to get into this email that was sent by no other than Mr. Cody Clark. Oh man, shout out to you, brother. This brother's batting like 1,000 right now. So the title of his email is Future Sight, Future Scarlet. Now, the question I was asking you guys last week is, do you guys think that these games that are going to be, backwards compatible or forward compatible, do you think that's going to hinder next generation's console sales? So, Mr. Cody Clark says this. He says this, quote, generation was such a mixed bag for Xbox between hardware and moving goalposts and underwhelming first-party titles. I'm sure nobody really saw it panning out like this after how totally dominant the 360 generation was. To even try to forecast what could be on the horizon with the Scarlet and Game Pass and other streaming services, plus backwards and forwards compatibility, I don't even know. Maybe they will treat it more like old PCs and new PCs. Maybe they won't stop counting how many, quote, Xbox, end of quote, units are sold, and will find a way to stuff other stockings with other stats. Maybe concurring running copies of the Xbox app will count. Maybe they will look at software and just let the systems be their own thing and hope they make net positive cash. Remember that Xbox mentioned wanting to reach something like 2 billion installs or users or numbers of Pokemon or whatever. Where's Mike J? Maybe he remembers. Shout out to Mike J. One thing is for sure, Xbox is leaving the door wide open for all kinds of options. So how will this affect generation next as far as moving consoles? No idea. I'm already getting some Elite 2 controllers when they drop in November, so I'm already in the ecosystem. They'll have my dollars at least. Mr. Cody Clark, shout out to you, brother, for this email. I can't thank you enough for it, brother. Always love hearing from you. It's always fantastic and great. And I'm going to tell you something, Cody, very interesting that you mentioned those elite controllers, because we actually have some very interesting news pertaining to the peripherals of the next generation Xbox. But what I do want to point out here, Cody, is, man, you brought up something that was very, very interesting, Cody, when you said maybe they won't stop counting how many Xbox units are sold. Now, when you said that and you brought up, Game Pass and, possibly an Xbox app, I'm sure that Microsoft, without a shadow of a doubt, the direction that they're going in, it seems to be more and more services, especially on the gaming side. They've already been doing it on the PC side with Windows being on Apple. And I learned that from you, brother. Shout out to you for that. But, outside of that, you're right. Probably the metric is going to change as far as how they're going to count console sales. But overall, none of us know what's going to happen with this. I still believe, and matter of fact, as you guys are probably going to be looking at this, you will see the question that I'm going to be posing this week. So I want to dive into it on the other side as well, because we've gotten some news this week about some games that we'll get into it a little later. But like you said, Cody, it's going to be very hard to gauge this. Nobody is going to know until we're actually in the next generation. We'll have to see, how it goes. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how many people just hold back and say, you know what, it's no need. I have the Xbox One X. It's it's not going to be nearly as powerful as the Scarlet. They're saying the Scarlet is going to be 4 times more powerful than the X. So my gosh, it's going to be absolutely incredible. If they doggone push the thing, if they push it to some maxes, maybe we will see some amazing results. But nonetheless, nobody knows. But Cody, as always, brother, I can't thank you enough. Please keep sending the emails. I always enjoy reading them, brother, and it's very, very much so appreciated. Now, guys, good gracious, I got to tell y'all, man, work has been something else. Matter of fact, brothers, y'all remember last week when I recorded, I said I had about 4 or 5 hours before I had to go? Well, brothers, I got about 5 or 6 hours today before I got to go. Man, I'm going up to Pennsylvania, going up near the Pittsburgh area. Oh yeah, territory is rival territory up there, because I'm a Ravens fan. I'm from Baltimore. I go up there and I talk to those guys, but it's always a good time. It's never any harsh words that we really mean. We just ragging on each other's teams. It's fun. But up there in Pittsburgh, it's always interesting, always pretty much a good time. So I'll be getting up there in a couple of hours. So with that being said, though, God dog, I guess I better vroom, vroom, put my foot on the darn gas so I can get rolling here. So as far as what I have been into this week, dag it, brothers, I gotta be honest, I have not really touched the sticks too much this week. Last week I was playing DuckTales. It was fantastic, and it's definitely gone now. Man, I hope you guys picked it up. But this week I have not been able to touch anything, and I have been feigning to get my hands on Link again and play that game and really get into it. And I'm sure you guys are saying, well, Kiaun, why don't you just take it on the road? You're a truck driver. Take it on the road. That's what it's for. Hey, listen, brothers, easy. The thing is, man, I want to make sure when I take the Switch on the road, man, that it's protected. Screen is protected, has the nice case to put it in, so I don't doggone break the thing, man. I don't want to get the screen all smeared and all of that stuff. I just want to make sure that the system is going to be taken very well care of while it's out on the road. So I'm going to wait until I get the means to make that happen. But trust me, as soon as I get some time, I'm definitely jumping back into Zelda. I want to get back into Judgment. I only so far in Judgment. Game was awesome from what I played. But so unfortunately, nothing much to report. And goodness, we got some bangers coming out this doggone week. Some heaters. Oh, we got some heaters coming out, man, this month. We got Man of Medan coming out near the end of the month. And shockingly, a game that I did not think I was going to want, which is on the Nintendo Switch, Astral Chain, oh man, that game looks awesome. So I can't wait for those two to drop, to get some time in with them. My goodness, I'm swimming in games, brother. My backlog is just horrible. It's horrendous right now, but I'm going to try to swim through it. But nonetheless, since there's nothing else to really report on that, and let's go ahead, guys. Oh, yeah. And let's get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. Oh, boy, did it go down, brothers. Now, let's get things started with some Xbox news. Now, there is no question that my biggest complaint, and many others, has been the lack of single-player games. And this was a question brought up by a fan on Twitter who asked Phil Spencer if there would be more single-player games coming to Xbox in the coming years. And Phil's response was vague, to say the least, and his quote was this. He said, "Yes, I can confirm." End of quote. Now, my goodness, I don't know, guys. You know, look, Phil, I'm sure, you know what it is. I gotta say, I have been very hard on Xbox. Man, I don't think that I'm wrong for being hard on Xbox. Like Cody said, who the world could have seen this happen this generation? Who would have thought that the Xbox brand would have fell so far from where it was at when it was at the pinnacle last generation? My goodness, nobody could have saw this outcome. So I'm starting to think, I mean, look, Phil, I'm sure he gets bombarded every single day about the Xbox brand. Why aren't the games here? Where are the exclusives? You know, where are the AAAs? I mean, I'm in that bunch too. I'll put myself in there. I have said all of these things. So I'm sure that at the end of the day, when Phil is going through his timeline or Twitter or whatever the case may be, any social media, Ad Brother's probably just tired. And he just simply said, and I quote again, "Yes, I can confirm." So I'm hoping that, you know, Phil is really hearing the cries for these single-player AAA titles to come to the console space. They have a ton of studios now. I'm sure that Ninja Theory, at least I'm hoping, man, I'm so hoping that Ninja Theory is working on a AAA game. I mean, it's already been talks that Phil is letting these studios do the projects that they want to do, and they're letting them have free reign on what it is that they want to bring to the table. So we will definitely see, because next generation, everybody has been saying, including Phil, who said, once again, I'm more excited about what we didn't show. So with that being said, I have to believe that next generation, which starts next year, and next year's E3, and I hate to say this, god dang, it pains me. Oh, it hurts. It's just a thorn in my side that we just have to wait to see what they bring to the table. I ain't even gonna finish the doggone sentence, but y'all know what the meme is. We'll see what they bring to the table at the next, and you know the rest, god darn it. Let's move on to the next story. Now, in pretty big Bungie news, it has been announced that you will be able to start moving accounts freely between platforms starting on August 21st. So this is awesome. This is fantastic. They will, I mean, this is a first. I don't know. When have we ever seen cross-save support for the open world shooter? It's going to be Destiny 2. It's going to have a cross-save enabled. This is really amazing. Now, I mean, good grief, that means any game that, I mean, any data that you have on the PC, you can switch over to the PlayStation, or you can switch over to the Xbox. They even said you'll be able to do it on Stadia. So they are breaking new ground. I mean, god darn, Bungie, this is what you get, brother. That's what you get. This is excellent. I always said that I would probably be more apt, and trust me, it'll have to be something absolutely amazing for me to do this. But I said that I wouldn't be so against getting a game on two platforms if I could actually get the data to roll over to the PlayStation, or have that data roll over to the Xbox, so I could pick up where I left off. This is awesome, man. Talk about pushing the gaming space forward. I can't wait to see if other titles will do this. I mean, who knows? Maybe Call of Duty will do this. Call of Duty is breaking new ground with this next Call of Duty, where everybody will be able to play together, cross-platform. I mean, this is, man, what a time in gaming. God darn, what a darn time. And I know that I was saying previously, because I don't want to be a hypocrite, I want to put myself out there on Front Street. I want to say that when it came to actually having games that would be cross-platform where you'll be able to play on an Xbox against a PlayStation guy, it's not something I was really for. I'm like, look, man, just keep it in the ecosystem. But look, I'm a dinosaur, guys. I'm from the old school of gaming, man. All this stuff is brand new, and you gotta expand your mind. And at the end of the day, it is great for the consumer. Hopefully it'll keep the communities alive and well. I mean, to me, look, a game at the end of the day, when people say that this cross-platform will save so many games. Look, brother, you got to have, your game got to be decent. All right. I mean, because if the game isn't good, nobody's going to be checking for it. It doesn't matter if it's doggone cross-platform and everybody can play together. If your game is garbage, then nobody's going to play on it. But nonetheless, here I go on a rant again. My bad. Let's move on. But dag, once again, shout out to Bungie. This is awesome news. But let's move on to the next one. Now, in quick Gears 5 news, it was confirmed by Microsoft that they will be showcasing campaign footage at Gamescom along with the new Horde mode. Now, once again, Gears 5 releases on September 10th. Now, who the world saw this coming? Look, Microsoft, once again, Gears 5. Oh, I was so heated when it came to Gears 5, looking at that daggone game at E3 2019, man, I was red, puffing smoke out of my ears. I was so just like, what the world are you doing, Microsoft? But the way that they were doing this whole rollout, nobody was feeling it. Everybody's like, man, what's going on with the campaign? Is something wrong with the campaign? Because they're not showing it. So I guess enough people complained and got upset and got on social media and just let Microsoft know and let the coalition know that, hey, you gotta throw us a bone on this, please. We are concerned. So we will finally be getting our first look at campaign footage. This is absolutely awesome. I can't wait. Gamescom is really shaping up to be something special, man. Something absolutely amazing this year. So this is another thing we can chalk off. We're going to be getting some Cyberpunk 2077 daggone new footage that they showed off at E3. Oh man, it's going to be some Marvel footage that we're going to be able to see. I mean, this thing is really shaping up to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to this. You guys remember, they weren't going to show off campaign footage until like a day before the game was going to be released. What the heck was that, Microsoft? But nonetheless, I commend them. They're correcting the Gears 5 ship. They're getting things together, and we're going to get ourselves a peek at the campaign. I want to go on record and say that I have no doubts that Gears 5 is going to be excellent, because Gears 4, a lot of people, I didn't know this, as I listened to different podcasts and hear people talk about Gears 4, they were like, it was okay, it was decent, it was alright. Man, I freaking loved Gears 4. I thought it was absolutely awesome. Thought it was amazing. So to hear that these other people are just saying, man, it was just decent, it was okay, I'm like, my gosh, man, I thought it was awesome, it was fantastic. Nonetheless, I sound like a broken record. Let's move on into the next doggone gaming story. Now, this is some Call of Duty news. Now, we know that Call of Duty Modern Warfare has been getting gamers pretty excited, especially with the new engine that they are using. That new engine looks buttery sweet. God dang, it does. But The Call of Duty excitement, it definitely continues because a rumor, now once again, rumors, take it with a mustard seed of doggone truth, but a rumor has come up from YouTube Insider, the long sensation, god dag, maybe I should say pause after I say that. But anyway, now usually, like I said, gaming rumors, sometimes they come true and then other times they don't. But due to this alleged leak from Long Sensation, he says that the name for the next Call of Duty. Well, wait a minute. I'm skipping ahead. Actually, this guy, just to give him a little bit of credibility, he did actually guess what the name of this new Call of Duty was going to be quite a few months before it was actually officially announced. He said that it was going to be Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Like I said, before it was officially revealed. But his tweet says, and now this is something, and I quote, this is his tweet. He says, Call of Duty 2020 has been under two names thus far, Call of Duty Black Ops and Call of Duty Black Ops 5. It's going to be set during the Cold War, spans the entire 40 plus years, and inks Vietnam and Korean War, described as even more gritty and gruesome than Modern Warfare. I'm not joking. End of quote. Man, I hiccuped right there. Excuse me. So this right here. Oh, man. So many people are up in arms about this next Call of Duty. Did y'all see? I don't want to call out the wrong media outlet. I don't know if it was GameSpot or if it was GameSpot or IGN, one of those two, where the guy was up there at E3 saying, I was disturbed. Oh, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It was too violent. Maybe if you could sneak around and not kill someone, maybe I would have been more comfortable. Get the frick out of here, man. It's a daggone first-person shooter. You are at war, sir. And you mean to tell me you are getting, so uncomfortable about this? Oh my gosh, man. Come on, get a grip, brother. It is a darn game. It's a video game. Good grief. So if people are out here freaking out about this Modern Warfare, if this is to be If this is true, if this turns out to be absolutely correct, just imagine what the fake outrage is gonna be when this comes out, if it's more gritty and more gruesome than this one that's coming out this year. Now keep in mind, that's the thing I don't think media gets. Whenever something gets a lot of negative press, it usually sells pretty darn well. I mean, you guys remember back in the day with Grand Theft Auto 3 when they were saying, oh man, you're beating up prostitutes with a baseball bat, you're robbing people, you're running people over with a car. What happened, man? That goddamn game went on to sell millions of darn copies. So whenever a game gets a light shined on it and it's supposed to be the worst thing, it's supposed to be so horrible, so bad, man, that thing is getting ready to take off like a rocket ship. So keep that in mind, media, when you're trying to trying to steer people away from it. You're steering people right into the headlights of it, buddy. My goodness. Let's move on into the next story. So, if you're not aware, now Xbox studio boss Matt Booty sat down with Game Informer, and man, oh man, did he have some interesting things to say about Halo. Matter of fact, instead of me telling you about it, how about Mr. Matt Booty tells you for itself? Let's roll the clip.
Use of things. I think the first thing that is just very cool and where that game is headed is how they're thinking about expanding the world, right? I won't go so far as to say sandbox, because you bring up sandbox and people sort of overload that term with a lot of other things. But what the team is doing to build a bigger universe and a bigger set of gameplay scenarios and just more things to explore is awesome. And it's just like the things they're working on are really cool. The second thing is just as they bring the slipspace engine up to date with where we're at in terms of graphics these days, there's just some cool stuff design-wise. It's been really cool to see them get back to some of the shape language and design language of some of the earlier Halos. There could be said that Halo, when you get into Halo 5, maybe it was getting a little busy design-wise, and it's cool to just see them. It feels at once it feels more modern and more clean, but also I think there are stronger echoes back to the roots of Halo, and it's really cool to see that stuff.
So the answer to the blank question would be cleaner and bigger. Is that a fair boiling down?
If you had to boil it down, I would actually say visually impressive and more expansive.
So as you guys heard, he did have quite a few things to say. Now, some of the things that stood out to me with him talking to Game Informer, and definitely, I highly recommend you guys check that interview out. He said a lot of things in that interview that definitely made the internet go ablaze. So if you guys want to check that out, go over to Game Informer. It's on YouTube. Check it the heck out. It was a really good interview. But some of the things that he said that really stood out to me was, first off, he said that Halo Infinite will not be a sandbox because people go way too far when you say sandbox. He said that he would look at it as it being more expansive. So if you were looking at Halo Infinite, at least what I took away from this, if you were looking at it being just this open, huge world where you were going to be able to do whatever you wanted to do, almost like Grand Theft Auto style, I don't think that's it. I think a better way to look at it would probably be on the lines of Tomb Raider, the newer Tomb Raiders that have come out this generation and last generation, where the original Tomb Raiders, they weren't very expansive. They were kind of like point A to point B, whereas with the new ones, you had the options to go out and explore these different tombs and kind of pad out the game a little bit. Not really pad it out, but you just had more options on where you could go. So I think that maybe we should liken it to maybe like Tomb Raider, something like that. And also, he did say that, which this is really cool. This is great, especially for Halo fans. He said that it looks like that they are getting back to the roots of Halo. And I think it's some truth to that, because they have taken their time with this one, where Halo 5 didn't quite hit the mark that everybody was hoping it would, and I'm sure they heard all of the criticisms and they took those into consideration, and they have just doubled down with this Halo. At least that's what I am hoping. And I mean, look, I'm not going to harp on this too much longer, but to me, it looks like, now I'm about to say Bungie, God dog, 343 is back on track. We will definitely see next year once Halo Infinite finally releases. Let's move on into some more, and this is sad, but some more Xbox news. Now, quite honestly, I am not a Minecraft fan, but if you are, I have some unfortunately bad news. Mojang announced the cancellation of the Super Duper graphics pack. Now, it was supposed to have released in 2017, then got delayed into 2018, and then it just went radio silent. Now, the reason for the cancellation, Mojang said, and I quote, Super Duper was an ambitious initiative that brought a new look to Minecraft, but unfortunately the pack proved too technically demanding to implement as planned. End of quote. Man, now, look, I'm not going to harp on this because, like I said, I'm not going to sit up here and do all of this fake outrage of how the world couldn't this happen? My goodness, Minecraft, what the world are you doing? I'm not doing all of that on this one. Look, it didn't happen. Mojang, I guess they had their reasons. Basically, some devices just couldn't handle it, couldn't get the 4K textures. And man, we're going to talk about that a little later because that's where the question kind of stemmed from, because we've been having these situations quite a bit. So, as of recently, but let's just move on from here. It's sad that it's not coming. I'm sorry to the Minecraft fans out there that were really looking forward to this. Man, who knows? They said that they're going to try to implement this in maybe another kind of way, but the way it sounded, I would not hold my breath for it. But anyway, let's move on into the next story. Now, this next story is out of the Nintendo camp. Now, according to a member of the Reset Era forums, a FCC filing was spotted that featured a drawing of the back of I'm just botching this all. I was on such a good roll, too. God dang. Let's start this over, man. Now, according to a member of the Reset Era forums, a FCC filing was spotted that featured a drawing of the back of the wireless device that undoubtedly resembles a Super Nintendo controller. Now, the model number and FCC ID had the letters HAC, which is used in Nintendo's model numbers for Nintendo Switch hardware and accessories. So with this information, could we see Nintendo add the Super NES classics to be a part of their online service, man? Now, look, man, brothers, if this is true, can't you see the trend that's about to happen? Now, just a couple of months ago, I lose track. Was it last year or was it earlier this year? It had to be last year, I'm guessing, where Nintendo, they did that rollout with the online service where they actually were selling you the original Nintendo controllers to be able to play the original Nintendo games on the Switch. Now you have a Super Nintendo controller patent with the FCC numbers that match up with the hardware for the Switch. Can't you see the patterns, brothers? They are going to... Look, man, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I don't think this is going to happen by the end of the year, but just imagine the Switch being able to have the Super Nintendo games on it to play. Playing these games on the go. Super Nintendo games. I'm looking at it for the long haul, the long run of it. After Super Nintendo, who's to say Nintendo 64 won't be next? Who's to say GameCube won't be next? This thing could keep going and going until you completely have the full Nintendo library on your Switch and you can take it on the go. How absolutely incredible would that be? But first we got to jump over this next hurdle, making sure that this Super Nintendo controller will be coming to the Switch. But nonetheless, this is exciting news. Look, man, I love the Switch. I absolutely love that darn device. That console is great. I would go as far as to say that is the best console that Nintendo has ever made. Now, is that bold? Yes, it's a bold statement. But if you look at what Nintendo is doing with this console, the pattern that they're going down, they're trying to put all of their games on this one system so that you'll be able to take it on the go. When have we ever seen this in gaming? Now, like I said, I'm probably jumping the gun a whole lot, but that's exactly where I see Nintendo going with this. Why make the minis? Why make an N64 mini? Why make a GameCube mini or a Wii Mini? I don't think we need a Wii Mini. Let's pump the brakes on that one. But if you can just make these controllers, make them compatible with the Switch, that just gives people more incentive to go out there and buy the Switch. And now with the Switch Lite being released and that being $199, a very, very good price point for the average consumer to be able to get into the Nintendo ecosystem, and then you hit them with this. Man, this is absolutely excellent news. I can't wait to see what happens with this, man. Nintendo brothers, y'all are on a roll. God dog it, you're on a roll. Let's move on though. Now this next story right here. Oh man, I'm sweating. God dang it. Oh gosh. Now, all aboard, choo choo, all aboard the Rumorville train. Here we go. So this alleged Sony news, oh my goodness, could be huge if it's true. So as always, when it comes to rumors, oh, you guys know the drill. Take him with a mustard seed of truth. So with that being said, let's get into it, man. Now, according to a leak from an unknown source from 4chan, Sony will be hosting an event called PlayStation Meeting 2020 on February 12th, where the possible PS5 will be premiered, because we don't know if it's going to be called the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation Heart. I don't know. But anyway, excuse me, pardon me, but it's going to be premiered at this event. Now, this information is allegedly coming from an email sent by the senior marketing manager at PlayStation, where the email also says that Ubisoft, Square Enix, EA, and Activision will be invited to show off their next-gen software for PlayStation 5. But that's not all. No, that's not all. We're not finished. Now, the rabbit hole goes deeper, because aside from third party being there and the alleged PlayStation 5 being shown, the event is also said to focus on major first party titles like Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2. Now, on top of that, according to the anonymous source, numerous tests have been carried out on the PlayStation VR 2 prototype, and that we can expect that hardware before the end of fiscal year 2021. Man, good gosh, oh my gosh. Goodness. Now, goodness. I mean, where the heck do we start, brothers? I don't even know. First off, I'm going to start at the tail end, because that's the easiest way for me to do it. Start from the tail end, work my way in. So with this PlayStation VR prototype news, I'm not too sure about that, because was it the VP of Sony? Some higher up said that they aren't really in a rush to get the next PlayStation VR out there. They want to space it out so that the consumer doesn't feel like they're being bombarded with hardware options that they have to buy. So with this person saying that it's going to be released in fiscal year 2021, I don't think that's enough time. That's not nearly enough time, because when does the fiscal year end? I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but is it like April? It's like not even midway through the year. So I don't think that timeline actually adds up. I think that the PlayStation VR would probably release at the end. I would say the end of 2021, maybe even 2022. That would be more of a guess of mine. 2022. Give it a little bit of time to breathe. Get the numbers up for the PlayStation 5 so that you know that you'll be able to sell some of these units. Don't rush it out, because if you rush it out too quick and the fan base isn't there, then it could fall flat. I mean, we already see that PlayStation 4 is up to 100 million people on the system, and they've sold like 3 million units. So imagine doggone having a new PlayStation VR come out just a couple of months after the PlayStation 5 releases. I don't think it's going to get that kind of traction. So definitely hold off on that. But the Ghost of Tsushima and the daggone Last of Us Part 2 news, that makes sense. I mean, it was some people that were saying that Ghost of Tsushima is gonna be a PlayStation 5 game. I don't believe that. I don't think Sony would leave that much money on the table with the PlayStation 4 user base, 100 million users out there, or darn near 100 million. I don't think they would take the chance of not being able to get as many of those people to buy Ghost of Tsushima. So I believe that it definitely will be available on the PlayStation 4, as well as The Last of Us Part 2. But it is great that if this is true, they will definitely be focusing on these games on the PlayStation 5, and that we will probably be able to see the differences. Because that's what it's going to come down to. You have to show the consumer why they need to upgrade. Are they both going to run at 60 frames per second consistently at a 4K resolution? I mean, you gotta sell people on this. So nonetheless, I don't want to harp on this one too long either. So with that being said, this is very, very great news. They were also saying that the next PlayStation, man, what is it? Shucks. I can't think of the daggone name of the PlayStation event that was happening every month, but they're saying that the next one, PlayStation Experience, that ain't it. Y'all know a little 10, 15 minute PlayStation, thing that comes on YouTube. I can't think of the name of it, but they're saying the next one is going to be in November, allegedly, and that's going to be where they're going to show off The Last of Us Part 2, the actual release date. Now, you guys remember we had went over this maybe a week ago or so, where it was that leak that came out where The Last of Us is coming out in May, and they said that they would be talking about this at around autumn sometime, was when we would actually get the release date of The Last of Us Part 2. So that could be possible. It could be. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, very interesting news, man, coming out of the PlayStation camp. My goodness, they're going to be at Gamescom. Gosh, hey, look, I'm happy. Man, I am so happy to see what the heck happens with this. But let's go ahead, because I've harped. Oh, man, I beat this dead horse. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. Now, if you have always found Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, or Detroit Become Human very interesting, but never picked up a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4 to play them, then the future may be looking bright, because Quantum Break, not Quantum Break. Pardon me. Daggone, Quantic Dream studio head David Cage had this to say, and I quote, "Quantic Dream is not exclusive to any platform anymore. So yes, unless there are some specific exclusivity deals on a title, by title basis, all our games will be released on all platforms at launch." End of quote. Now, this is the thing. I found this out as I was looking up this story. I think I got this from IGN, I believe. But they were saying that the reason why they actually have this freedom now is because a company called NetEase actually bought stock into their company, and this NetEase company is actually rivals with Tencent. So these two guys are really battling it out, and because of NetEase actually coming in and buying into the company, they now have those funds that they need to actually be able to stand on their own. Now, does this mean that Heavy Rain or Detroit Become Human will be coming to the other platforms like Xbox? I don't think that's going to happen. I think that it's going to be on PC and PlayStation 3 and 4. I just don't see that happening with those games. But moving forward, like David Cage said, the games from Quantic Dream will be available on all platforms. So this is great news. Awesome. So let's move on into the next story. Oh, Phil. Oh, this is about Killer Phil right here. Now, if you weren't familiar, Phil Spencer sat down to do an interview with GameSpot where he went over a few things about what they will focus on for the next generation. Now, I can't lie, man. Good grief. I mean, listen up, man. Put on your seatbelt, brothers. God darn, brothers and sisters, buckle up. All right. Now, Phil said, and I quote, "I think the area that we really want to focus on next generation is frame rate and playability of the games. Ensuring that the games load incredibly fast, ensuring that the game is running at the highest frame rate possible. People love 60 frames per second games, so getting games to run at 4K 60, I think, will be a real design goal for us." End of quote. Now, Phil also said, wait a minute. Let's talk about this first, because that's why I broke it down. Now, Phil is saying that next generation Now, God dog it. This is the thing. He has to get us excited. That's his job. He has to sell the product. As much as we say Phil doesn't care if you're buying Xbox, Phil is worried about streaming right now. He don't care about the box. He still has to do his job and sell us on the box. So this might not happen, but goodness, it sounds exciting that they're going to be running games. Now, he said once again, ensuring that the game is running at the highest frame rate possible. People love 60 frames per second. People love 60 frames per second games. So getting games to run at 4K 60, I think will be a real design goal for us. So once again, this is what he is going to be focusing on. Getting games at 4K 60, that would be phenomenal. Now, some people are saying that next generation, it should not be a problem to get these games to run at 4K 60. I mean, good gosh, having games load faster. I mean, we heard PlayStation say this before when they came out, and started talking about it, Mark Cerny, having games load up. That is definitely a big selling point for me, because booting up Red Dead Redemption 2, god dang, you talk about just sitting there twiddling your thumbs and waiting. Man, if they can speed up that daggone load time and have it looking like the PlayStation did when it loaded up Spider-Man, it's going to be dope, man. So let's move on to what else Phil said. Now, Phil also said he had spoke on backwards compatibility. And this is the quote from that. He says, making sure that all 4 generations of content, so the original Xbox games that run on your Xbox One today, the OG Xbox, the 360 games that run on your Xbox One games, and the new generation games all run on the next platform is important to us. Now, good gosh. Now, Phil is saying that all four generations are going to run on this Project Scarlet. Xbox, OG Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox Scarlet games. Now, we have heard of backwards compatibility. I mean, goodness, that's been going on since the Atari 2600. Well, not the 2600, but the Atari days, where backwards compatibility was a thing. It was a selling point. We even saw PlayStation do it with the PlayStation 2, which was compatible with the PlayStation 1, and PlayStation 3 was compatible. Y'all get what I'm saying? But never have I ever seen a platform attempt to do all 4. The current generation, and then you go back 3 full generations and have it all under one roof. This could be absolutely phenomenal. Especially imagine with the Scarlet, you got the original discs of the Xbox games, and we've seen it already this generation, where we've seen the OG Xbox games. If you got the disc, you can put it into the Xbox One. You got the 360 games, put it in the Xbox One. I just started thinking, right, because my backlog is super huge right now. When a generation starts, usually it's kind of slow. You might have 2 or 3, heaters that come out that are really dope games, but then you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the generation to rev up. With this, you can literally, if this happens, you will be able to literally take your backlog games and pop them into your Scarlet, and off you go. Zoom! Right into the god doggone clouds, man. This is so dope, man. That, we've heard Phil talk about this before, but the fact that he is still talking about it, it gives me hope that Xbox is going to knock it out of the park next generation. I really want them to do this for me. I don't want them to get out of the console space. We need Microsoft in the console space. People that like Microsoft, people that dislike Microsoft, I don't care. You need them. You need them for competition. You don't want one console manufacturer having a monopoly on the doggone gaming business, because we are all going to suffer if that happens. So with Microsoft doing these moves, putting these things in place, this gives me a lot of darn hope. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up, and this is going back to what Cody said about his Elite controllers. Phil also said that the thought was huge. I thought this was huge. Phil mentioned once again that your previous purchase controllers will carry over to the next generation console. He said that he doesn't want a person that just spent $100 on a controller to not be able to use it. He said, what I want you to do is be able to go ahead, bring that controller on over with you into the next generation. Man, look, you get those Elite controllers, Cody, God dog it, brother. I'm tongue-tied right now, pardon me. But, you get the Elite controllers and you don't have to worry about, I only got another year, maybe 2 years to play on this because I'm upgrading to the next generation. You just take that controller over with you into the next generation to continue to experience and enjoy that controller, and more importantly, get your money's worth out of it. This is awesome. I got this driving wheel, this Thrustmaster driving wheel, TSXW, that I still haven't opened. That wheel was not cheap. Look, I'm not a rich man. I'm a man of very, very, meager means, but it was definitely, it was expensive for me. So if Phil is telling me that I can bring that over and enjoy that, good grief, man. That is, man, shoot, I'm all game. Matter of fact, god darn, I almost forgot, man. I got a darn code to give away this week. God dog, hopefully y'all still here. Testing, 1, 2. All right, so this code, this giveaway is for 1 month of Xbox Game Pass. Now, this will let you be able to play Gears 5. You ain't got to spend $60 on it. It's only going to give you probably 4 days to play. But, I think that'll be enough to beat the game, hopefully. So get your pens ready. Get your Crayolas ready. God dang it, get your markers ready. Because here is the code. Now, the code for 1 month of Xbox Game Pass is YFV9Q Y6FF2 YKDKK G7DCJ 2VD9Z. Once again, man, I'm being so unprofessional. I'm hiccuping on the mic, my bad. But once again, let me read this off again. The code is YFV9QY6FF2 YKDKK G7DCJ2VD9Z. Please do me a favor. You guys have been doing excellent at this. Please let me know when you redeem this code, so I'm not capping out here, brother. People gonna think I'm lying when I keep on reading the same code and somebody already was cashed it in, man. So hit me up. The email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Just let me know that you got it. If you don't feel like emailing and it's going to take too much time and your fingers going to hurt because you got to type, then do me a favor. Call in. All you got to do, call in. Number is 443-216-9934. Just let me know that you got the code. So, let's move on. Once again, before I move on, though, I want to thank y'all. It's just a little thanks. Let you guys know that I appreciate you guys rocking with me. Sorry I put it so late in the show. I usually try to put it in the beginning. Hate to have people waiting around, but, it is what it is. My bad. But let's move on to the next story. So let's jump back in to some more Nintendo news. So recently, we found out that Nintendo has made slight changes to the traditional Switch, where it has a longer battery life, where it went from being able to play Zelda Breath of the Wild from 3 hours to 5.5 hours. Talk about that. That's a heck of a jump. Now, you'll be able to get that between charges, as well as the NVIDIA Tegra processor being updated to have more power efficiency. So if you want to plan on buying, if you're planning on buying this version with this battery life that, good grief, jumped up 2.5 hours, there are a few things to look out for. Now, according to website Nintendo Life, especially since it's not like the Nintendo, wait a minute. Look, this is according to Nintendo Life, god dog it. Okay, I'm messing up. Excuse me. But, now, this is really important because, you know, Nintendo, it's not like they're actually advertising that these features are brand new into the Switch, because they don't want people to think that they're getting the lesser version. They're just throwing them out there. And since there's still so many original Switches out there in the wild, it's a good chance you might not get it. So this is what you need to look out for if you're trying to get the upgrade over the original version. So the first thing you want to look out for is the box. Now, this is the fastest way to tell the difference, because the new box has a red background versus the original box that has a hand touching the Switch. Now, the other way to make sure you're getting a newer version is by looking at the serial number on the bottom of the box. Now, the old model serial number, which can be found once again on the bottom of the box, it starts with XAW or XAJ or XAK. Now, the newer model serial numbers will begin with XKW. So be on the lookout for it this month. It's going to be releasing. So make sure that you keep those things in mind, and you will be able to snag yourself a newer, more improved Nintendo Switch with that battery life that you will definitely need if you're on the go. I thought that was very impressive that they were able to jump up with a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild being as graphically intense and being the kind of game that it is that's going to suck out power. I thought that it was very nice to see you get 2.5 hours extra. So definitely be on the lookout for that. There's no more to say about this. Let's move on to the next story. So in a quick news story, it has been confirmed by THQ Nordic's CEO, Lars man, god darn, these last names, god dog it, Wingafors. Man, I tore that brother name up, but I'm gonna move on. Name Wingafors today, that a new Saints Row is being worked on, and I quote, this is the quote from I'm just call him Lars. Volition is deep into development of a brand new Saints Row game, the first full entry in this much-loved series since Saints Row 4, when it was released back in 2013. So look, man, finally, we are getting a new Saints Row. The Joker's in development. I'm very, very happy about this. I love Saints Row 3. Saints Row 4 was cool too. Oh man, I had me a good time. So, there's no more to say about this because I'm trying to come in under that hour mark. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it though, brothers. But let's go ahead and move on to the final story. So Power Stone was one of the coolest games on the Dreamcast, and I have fond memories of that game, and I've always hoped we would get a third entry. But so far, it's been crickets. But producer Takashi Tezuka, yeah, I got that right, Tezuka, did sit down with The Guardian where he said, and I quote, "People tweet requests to me to make another Power Stone, which I'd love to do if I got the chance. It would be a particularly great fit for the Nintendo Switch." End of quote. So man, Nintendo, they have been getting a lot of third-party support this generation. I think the most third-party support I've seen a Nintendo system get, and I don't want to know how long, maybe since the Super Nintendo era. So, I mean, who's to say? I mean, look, Nintendo has been really getting some great deals with this Nintendo Switch, as far as, like, not deals, but great developer support with the Nintendo Switch. So who knows? I mean, they got Bayonetta 2 exclusive on the console. So if Nintendo could make this happen, I mean, god darn, they made it so Banjo-Kazooie They came to Microsoft, said, look, can we get Banjo or not, brother? We need this. And they said, sure, take Banjo. It's all good. They made that happen. Now, if they were to get Power Stone, God, dog, you talk about a win. That would be an absolute fantastic win for Nintendo. I could see Power Stone fitting in great with that console. I mean, being able to go on the go, play against your friends, fighting. Oh, man, bring that joint back. Anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week. We came in at 58 minutes and 57 seconds, god damn, but we keep on going. So stay tuned, guys, because we will be back right after this week's video game theater. Stay tuned, guys.
So that's a good idea, right?
Yeah, okay, alright, sure, I'll do it.
Hey man, what's going on?
Not much.
I was just telling Petey here about my idea to take over the school. I mean, my plan for us to take over the school.
What plan?
Don't worry, Jimmy. It's just a little something I came up with. It's sink or swim, my friend. And if you're good at swimming, you gotta let the losers drown. Why don't you guys leave the thinking up to me?
What?
What? What the? Can't you say anything else? You know what, Petey? You were right. Jimmy is pretty dumb.
What'd you say about me? Whoa, nothing, no. All I said was that you had to be pretty dumb to get expelled from so many schools, that's all.
Relax, James. All he said was that you must be dumb. Or maybe you're all messed up because you came from a broken home.
What'd you say about me, dwarf?
Come on, dude. Chill.
No. Gary's taking everything out of context, man.
Whoa. Don't lie, Petey. Don't you lie. Because you know what happens?
And welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We're in the final section of the podcast, and as always, I have a question for you, the great listener out there. Now, what I want to ask you guys this week is, will cross-gen titles hold back next generation? Now, we have heard, and I mean, goodness, I think the evidence is out there and it's pretty heavy. Halo Reach is having problems because they're having problems with the memory, being able to get it on the Xbox One. We see that Minecraft, they were having problems getting that on various devices because it was a strong update. They were trying to get 4K resolution, and we know that not all platforms are going to be able to do 4K as it stands right now. So my thing is, could this be a problem? And like I said last week, Microsoft, they are the ones that are really saying that no gamer will be left behind. So if you have the OG fat Xbox One, the big bone like myself, oh man, hey brother, I'm in serious trouble if I'm thinking I'm going to get these kind of great experiences. So I mean, I wonder, will that have a bad effect on next generation, because the developers, they won't be able to push the limits of this next gen hardware if they have to worry about the previous gen. Now, I understand that on PCs, they say that you don't have to worry about that. The developers make sure that they're able to have the game scale, but I don't know if that's the case on the console, because if they're having problems right now, especially with Halo Reach and it's a memory problem, couldn't this bleed over into the next generation for sure? Since that's going to be a even huger, I don't even think huger is a word, but even bigger gap than what we have now. So I would love to get you guys' thoughts on this. I said your thoughts. Anyway, I done botched this enough, god dang it. Let me get the heck out of here. If you want to be a part of this doggone question and be in the feedback section next week, you can do that two different ways. You can either email the show, and the email address is the analogcirclepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Man, this was a fantastic time for me. Let me tell you something. I look forward to these. I love talking to you guys. It's like, man, I get to talk about my favorite thing my favorite hobby, that is, to you guys. And it is just, man, it's a privilege. I tell you, it is definitely, it is an absolute privilege to be able to do this. So I thank you guys so much for kicking it with me, for supporting me. And just let me reiterate this. The person that gets the code for the 1 month of Game Pass, please let me know you got it. Show me some kindness in your heart and let me know that you got it. Once again, if you didn't get the code, it's YFV9Q, Y6FF2, YKDKK, G7D, CJ2VD9Z. Man, with that being said, I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell. And my gosh, I'm recording this on Wednesday in the middle of the week. So, I mean, look, probably we'll be back at it again next week in the middle of the week. So with that being said, before we get out of here, always remember that it is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So with that being said, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.